That refrigerator humming in your kitchen right now has an expiration date, and the company that sold it to you already knows exactly when it's going to stop working. Not because refrigerators are complicated, not because parts wear out unpredictably, but because somewhere between the factory floor and your kitchen, a decision was made. A deliberate, calculated, profitable decision to build a machine that cannot be repaired when it fails. They call it a sealed system. What it actually is a trap. And the worst part? The repair technicians who open up these machines every single day. They've been saying this for years. Nobody's listening. So let's fix that. To understand why this is happening, you have to understand what changed. And it changed fast. The first thing that changed was the compressor you can no longer fix. Go back to the 1980s and 1990s. A refrigerator compressor was a serviceable part. An appliance technician could come to your home, diagnose the problem, swap the compressor, and you'd be running again for a few $100s. The machine was designed with that in mind. Access panels, standard fittings, parts that cross-referenced across brands. Then manufacturers started rolling out what they call linear compressors and inverter compressors, marketed as more efficient, quieter, more precise. And look, on paper, those claims aren't entirely wrong. But here's what they don't put in the brochure. These compressors are sealed inside a refrigerant loop that requires specialized equipment to access. Most independent repair technicians don't carry the tools. The refrigerant charges are factory set and proprietary, and the compressor units themselves, they're not sold as standalone parts through normal supply chains. You either pay a manufacturer-authorized technician a fortune, or you're told the repair isn't worth doing. That's not an accident. That is a design philosophy. A repair technician in Michigan told me he now turns away roughly a third of sealed system calls because the labor and parts cost exceeds what the customer paid for the appliance. A third. Think about that. 1 in 3 people who call a professional repair company are told their refrigerator is a total loss, and it's 5 years old. The second driver is the refrigerant switch that gutted durability. This one has a regulatory fingerprint on it. Over the past 15 years, Department of Energy and EPA mandates pushed the appliance industry away from older refrigerant blends toward newer, low global warming potential alternatives like R600A, isobutane. Now, R600A isn't inherently bad. Commercial refrigeration has used hydrocarbon refrigerants in Europe for decades with reasonable results. The problem is what the transition did to the economics of appliance manufacturing. When the regulatory deadlines hit, manufacturers had to retool their sealed systems fast and cheap. The result was thinner copper lines, lower-grade brazed joints, compressors spec'd to minimum efficiency standards rather than maximum durability. They were racing a compliance deadline, not engineering for longevity. And here's the thing. The consumer never sees any of this. You see Energy Star certified. You see quiet operation. You see a stainless finish and an ice maker that texts your phone. What you don't see is that the copper tubing in the evaporator coil is now significantly thinner than it was in 1998, and a single stress fracture means the entire sealed loop bleeds refrigerant until the compressor runs dry and seizes. It fails. Simple as that. It fails. The third driver is the warranty math, and what it tells you about what they already know. Standard refrigerator warranties on sealed systems from major manufacturers run 1-year parts and labor, 5 years on the sealed system components only. That sounds like coverage. Here's what it actually means. They'll cover the part, but not the labor. And on a sealed system job, labor runs $400 to $800 by itself. So you buy a refrigerator. The warranty on the whole machine expires at year 1. The sealed system coverage runs to year 5, but doesn't include the $600 it costs to have a certified tech in your home doing refrigerant recovery, replacement, and recharge. And the failure data? According to appliance repair industry surveys, sealed system failures cluster heavily between years 4 and 7, right at the edge of that 5-year window, right when your coverage technically exists but practically means nothing. A couple in Oregon bought a refrigerator in 2020. Sealed system failed in year 5, 3 months after that 5-year component warranty expired. Repair estimate, $1,100. They bought a new refrigerator. The manufacturer got paid twice in 6 years. How is that not planned obsolescence? Someone explain that to me. Now let's talk about who's worst, because some of these brands have crossed a line that's hard to ignore. Start with Samsung. Samsung has faced multiple class action lawsuits specifically for getting their French door refrigerators and the linear compressor failures inside them. Court documents from a 2017 class action and subsequent follow-on litigation allege that Samsung knew their linear compressors had a defect rate that made widespread failure inevitable and continued selling the units without adequate disclosure. The settlement didn't fix the problem. Consumer complaint forums dedicated to Samsung refrigerator failures have grown into communities with over 100,000 members. 100,000 people comparing notes on why their $2,500 refrigerator died before their car needed new tires. LG is right there with them. LG's linear compressor failures became so widespread and well documented that the company faced its own class action litigation, with plaintiffs alleging the same pattern: known defect, continued sales, inadequate warranty response. Repair technicians describe pulling LG units that are 4 and 5 years old and finding compressors that look like they've run dry for months. The machine keeps trying. The temperature climbs slowly. Most people don't notice until their food starts going bad. By then, the sealed system has been running stressed long enough that the compressor is unsalvageable. A family in Dallas had an LG French door unit fail in year 4. Lost several $100s in food. LG's customer service response was to offer them a discount on a new LG refrigerator. That's not a solution. That's a business model. GE deserves mention here, though for a slightly different reason. GE Appliances was sold to Haier, the Chinese manufacturing conglomerate, in 2016. What followed, according to repair technicians who work on GE products regularly, was a gradual but noticeable decline in component quality on certain product lines. The brand name stayed the same. The engineering standards didn't. And Whirlpool. Look, Whirlpool still makes some of the most reliable refrigerators on the market, but their side-by-side sealed system designs have had documented failure patterns that their own service bulletins acknowledge. Even the brands with good reputations aren't entirely clean on this. The industry-wide problem is that sealed system design has become the standard. Not because it's better for you, because it's better for their margins. Here's the math that genuinely surprised me when I first broke it down. You buy a mid-range French door refrigerator. Call it $1,900. It runs fine for 4 years. Sealed system fails in year 5. Repair estimate is $1,200, if you can even find someone willing to do it. Most people can't absorb that, so they buy another $1,900 refrigerator. You've now spent $3,800 over 9 years on refrigeration. That's $420 per year. Now consider this. A commercial-grade reach-in refrigerator, built for restaurant use, designed to run 24 hours a day in a hot commercial kitchen, costs between $2,000 and $3,500 new. These units are built with serviceable compressors, accessible refrigerant systems, and parts that are stocked everywhere. Average lifespan, 15 to 25 years. At $2,500 over 20 years, you're paying $125 per year. $125 a year versus $422. And repair techs recommend this constantly. A simple top freezer refrigerator from a manufacturer still using conventional compressor designs. Some of these units, purchased today for $800 to $1,100, run reliably for 15 years or more. The physics are simpler. The sealed system is less complex. Fewer things fail. The counterintuitive truth of the appliance market right now is that cheaper often means more durable, if you know where to look. So what do you actually buy if you want a refrigerator that doesn't have a ticking clock inside it? If your budget is tight, under $1,000, your best move is a basic top freezer unit from Frigidaire or entry-level Whirlpool. Not the French door, not the side-by-side, the top freezer. This is critical. The top freezer configuration uses a simpler refrigerant circuit with fewer connection points and, in many cases, a more conventional compressor design that independent technicians can still work on. Frigidaire's base model top freezer line has one of the lowest reported failure rates in independent repair surveys. It's not glamorous. It doesn't have a water dispenser on the door. It will probably still be running when everything around it has been landfilled, around $700 to $900 new. Mid-range, $1,000 to $2,000. Look hard at Maytag's top freezer and bottom freezer offerings. Maytag still produces certain models built around more conventional compressor assemblies, and their parts availability through independent suppliers is significantly better than Samsung or LG. Their warranty response, according to technicians who deal with them, is less adversarial than their competitors. The pro tip at this tier: check the model number against appliance repair forums before you buy. There are communities of repair technicians who have cataloged which specific Maytag and Whirlpool model numbers use better compressor assemblies versus which ones cut corners. 15 minutes of research before you spend $1,500 is worth doing. If you're at the premium level, $1,500 and above, Sub-Zero is the honest answer. It has been for decades. Sub-Zero builds their refrigerators with dual-sealed systems, a separate circuit for the refrigerator and freezer compartments, which means a failure in one doesn't take down the whole unit. Their compressors are built to commercial standards. Their parts are stocked. Their authorized service network actually knows what they're doing. Sub-Zero units regularly run 25 to 30 years with proper maintenance. You will pay $3,500 to $8,000 depending on configuration. Divided over 25 years, the cost per year lands lower than a budget refrigerator replaced every 5. The math works. And here's the option nobody talks about enough: used commercial refrigeration. A used True or Beverage Air reach-in unit, purchased from a restaurant equipment reseller, runs $400 to $200. These machines were built to run around the clock in professional kitchens. The compressors are external, accessible, and standardized. Parts A, re-available at any commercial refrigeration supply house. Yes, it looks industrial. Yes, it takes up more floor space. But a retired chef in Minnesota told me the True unit in his garage, bought used for $600, has been running continuously for 11 years without a single service call. That's what durability actually looks like. Here's the rule. Write this down if you have to. If they sealed it, they don't want you to fix it. That's the whole game. Every design decision that makes a refrigerator harder to repair, sealed refrigerant loops, proprietary compressors, inaccessible evaporator coils, those decisions didn't happen by accident. They happen because a refrigerator you can't fix is a refrigerator you have to replace. So here's what you do. Skip the French door. Skip the smart features. Skip any refrigerator from a brand currently defending a class action lawsuit over compressor failures. Look for top freezer configurations. Look for conventional compressor access. Look for brands with independent parts availability. Choose proven over flashy every single time. Simple version: top freezer or commercial. Frigidaire base, Maytag mid, Sub-Zero if you can stretch it. Used commercial if you're smart about it. That's the list. That's the answer. Here's what I want to know from you. How old is your refrigerator right now? And has it already started showing you warning signs? Drop it in the comments. I'm betting a significant number of you are sitting somewhere between year 3 and year 6 on a sealed system unit, wondering why it's not keeping temperature the way it used to. That's not your imagination. That's the clock running. Subscribe if you're tired of replacing things that should last 20 years. There's a lot more of this coming.